Good evening and welcome to the Gladstone Planning Commission work session on Tuesday, December 16th at 6:30 p.m. Could we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Commissioner Volbada. Commissioner Weiss.
Present.
Commissioner Langston.
Present.
Commissioner Carlson.
Present.
Commissioner Graw.
Present.
Commissioner Brennan.
Here.
Chair Smith.
Present. Let's do the flag salute, please. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin our work session, I'd like to provide the opportunity to Mayor Milch to please go ahead and present what he has to share with us this evening.
Thank you, Chair Smith. Commissioners, good evening. In this holiday season, time of gratitude and generosity, I want to express my gratitude to you all for your generous service to the city in this important role. I know that over the last couple of years, you've had almost consistently a very heavy workload and big work plan to try to get through. And I'm grateful to you and to our staff for dividing it up into manageable level tasks like they've done tonight to kind of work on one thing at a time, to give it the attention that it needs and make sure that you're doing things properly. I know the state imposes a lot of requirements on cities for things related to zoning and planning, and sometimes that requires more work than we would choose to do ourselves. And to try to juggle all that amidst land use applications and other things can get pretty complicated. So I'm grateful to you for that service that you've given to us. What you're working on tonight, accessory dwelling units. About 5 or 6 years ago, I think it may be now, we started working on some of this. And part of what we did was to do exactly what you're doing tonight, to compare the regulations that were on the books at the time in Gladstone to those of the other cities in Clackamas County. And we found at that time that one of the big differences was that we had a very small maximum size for accessory dwelling units. I think it was 400 square feet compared to most other cities around us at 800 or 900 square feet. So we made some changes in that, and we made some changes related to requirements having to do with parking minimums and other things. And that was about as far as we got on ADUs then. And then, as I said, you had so many other things come along. We've kind of set this one aside for a while, and tonight you'll be dealing with it. But I appreciate the report that's been prepared by staff because it gets at some of the real important issues. We have a goal as a city to, and kind of and again, one of those state imposed things, try to enable more people to have housing. We've, since the housing recession of 2008, 2009, the state really hasn't produced as much housing as it should to keep up with demand. And accessory dwelling units, particularly in a region like ours, an area like ours where we don't have new land to expand out, is one of the ways that cities try to address a shortage of housing. So this is an important part of what we do. And one of the things that we've discovered as a state is some of our regulations, they tend to be impediments to getting that kind of work done. If they require too much, or if they're too specific of what you can and can't do, sometimes people don't have all the options they want to develop their own property that they own in a way that works. So tonight you'll be considering some options of changing some of those things about, the need for your siding or your roof slope to be consistent in an ADU with what it is within the main house. And, there may be people who think, the type of siding I have, that's the worst architectural feature of the home I have. I wish I could build an ADU that's different from that, put vertical siding instead of horizontal. And some people might think, this house would really fit in with some of my neighbor houses because I have sort of a modern style house, but some of my neighbors have little craftsman bungalows. And if I could build an ADU that looked like a craftsman bungalow, that would be great. And I think as Chair Smith commented one time, there's a business close by on 205 between the DMV exit and the 213 exit that sells pre-made ADUs built from shipping containers. And those tend to have flat roofs where most of the homes here have pitched roofs. And if you require consistency between the two, you wouldn't necessarily be able to use one of those in the backyard of a home with a pitched roof. So it's good to consider that maybe loosening that option might be one strategy. But those are the things you'll be dealing with tonight and looking at and talking over. And I'm grateful to our planning staff from 3J Consultants for enabling you to examine those issues, to compare what we do here in Gladstone with what other cities are doing. Some of them have dealt with this already and made some changes. Some of them have done this a while back. Some may still be working on things. But it is an important project, and I'm glad that you've scheduled time to deal with this specific thing. And good luck working together. I'm going to get out of your way and let you do your work session. And I know that eventually you'll be sending some recommendations to the city for us to look at. And I'm glad you're getting us started on this process of thinking about all the options and all the ways that we can make this usable in our community. So thank you. Any questions from you?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Mills.
Thanks very much. If I don't see you all again, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Commissioner Langston, thank you for your service. I understand this is going to be your last meeting, I guess.
Yeah.
And so thanks. It's been great being on the commission with you and then watching the work that you've done with the rest of the mission. And those of you that are newer, I'm appreciative of your coming on board and continuing to work with us. Thanks.
Thank you. So would staff like to proceed and start with the presentation?
Yes, thank you, Chair Smith. I'd like to actually introduce my colleague, Journey Gehring. She's the person who put together the research for this evening's presentation. And so when we were going through it, I said, oh, well, since you put this all together, why don't you present it? Come to our planning commission and take that on. And she was a good sport and said that sounded great. So just right before we hop into the work session, though, so I don't forget, I do have one announcement that your city administrator, Jackie Betts, asked me to pass along, and that is that the city is forming an ad hoc and economic development advisory committee to advise on initiatives that strengthen local businesses, revitalize downtown, and expand community engagement through projects such as Portland Avenue redevelopment, facade improvement grants, tourism promotion, and partnerships with the University of Oregon's Sustainable City Year. The EDAC will include up to 9 voting members who live or work in Gladstone or maintain significant business connections to the city, with no more than 2 members from the Planning Commission. Interested individuals are encouraged to apply and review qualifications online by Friday, January 2nd at 4 p.m. So if anybody here is interested in applying for the Economic Development Advisory Committee, EDAC, you can do so online. And I think that would be a great thing to do. So that is the only announcement I have for this evening. And with that, Tammy, can we pull up our presentation? And
We're going to work on that here.
okay. Does anyone have any questions about that? I might be able to answer them. Okay.
No, it's on the website, so we can access it.
Okay,
correct?
great. Yes.
Did you serve 2 or 3 terms? 2. I thought it was 3.
Could be 3.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
I want you to leave.
I'm sure you'll be a piece of this.
Thank you. Hopefully this may work.
So you push the down button, right? The down
Yes,
arrow?
correct.
Down arrow will advance it. Oh, perfect. Okay.
You're going to end up missing us.
Again, thank you.
You know you are.
Commissioners.
Yeah. I just.
I'm going to guilt him all night long.
No, absolutely not.
No, that's not it.
Cool. Well, yeah, thank you, commissioners, for meeting today to discuss the Gladstone ADU code review. Like Heather mentioned, my name is Journey Gehring. I'm a planner at 3J Consulting. I work with Heather pretty frequently, and she asked me to do an initial research on the Gladstone ADU standards. So the purpose of the project is to summarize the city's review process to incorporate peer city research and state requirements and provide recommendations to Gladstone's accessory dwelling unit development standards. We also hope to align local ADU regulations with state law, address community concerns regarding neighborhood compatibility, and reduce unnecessary barriers to construction of ADUs. So the process of the project began with the City Council's 2025 to 2026 work program, which identifies the need to update ADU standards to be clear, objective, and consistent with state requirements. It was identified that current Gladstone Municipal Code chapters 17.10 and 17.12 include subjective design requirements that may unintentionally limit ADU development. And from this prompt, we reviewed ADU codes from 7 peer jurisdictions, which include Milwaukee, Oregon City, West Lynn, Lake Oswego, Happy Valley, Sandy, and unincorporated Clackamas County to identify best practices for ADU development. We hope to address this goal and identify need for ADUs to achieve compatibility through clear and objective standards without imposing restrictive or costly design mandates. So among those 7 different jurisdictions that I mentioned before, we analyzed them and we found that most of them typically regulate ADUs through simple size limits, height limits, and setbacks. A notable trend among them is the reduction or elimination of design matching requirements like roof pitch, windows, and siding to the primary dwelling. Both Milwaukee and Sandy's approach allowed design flexibility through design menus while offering optional features to maintain quality and visual consistency. Other jurisdictions like Clackamas County have very minimal design regulations for their ADUs, and Sandy doesn't require a pedestrian Sandy does require a pedestrian walkway and street-facing facade design elements. I figured I would mention that just because it's something that DLCD currently is discouraging in their model code. So as mentioned before, we reviewed size, height, and number of bedrooms for ADUs among those 7 peer jurisdictions. For size, we found that most jurisdictions cap their ADU size between 800 and 1,000 square feet. Happy Valley allows the size of an ADU to be up to 50% of the primary dwelling for both attached and detached ADUs, and they cap it at 1,000 square feet for detached ADUs. Sandy allows up to 720 square feet for their ADUs, and unincorporated Clackamas County allows 900 square feet in most zones for their ADUs. Typical height limits for ADUs are between 20 and 26 feet, or the height of the primary dwelling at the maximum that we found. We also found that most jurisdictions don't regulate the number of bedrooms that are required in ADUs. That was something that we noted that Gladstone does require, so that's something to consider for the future. Getting into some state requirements. So the Department of Land Conservation and Development emphasizes that cities should allow at least 1 ADU per detached single unit dwelling. They also note to use clear and objective siting and design standards to avoid requirements that effectively block ADUs, including restrictive design matching. They caution against requiring separate utility connections and note to avoid applying open space, vehicle or bicycle parking minimums, or minimum density standards. Model code for DLCD also suggests that a maximum size should be between 800 and 900 square feet, or 75 to 85% of the primary dwelling size. And they also include up to 2 ADUs could be allowed in medium-sized cities, which Gladstone does fall under. Just another thing to consider. So from our review of Gladstone's goals for ADUs, the city's current ADU standards, and the 7 peer jurisdiction examples, we developed a series of recommendations. So some of these recommendations include to maintain the maximum ADU size of 800 square feet. It sounds like you guys recently made those updates, and that fits perfectly into DLCD recommendations. We also, though, include to consider allowing ADUs to be up to 75 to 85% of the primary dwelling size, and focusing on whatever's smaller. So just including that as another piece. This would be consistent with model code and most of the peer cities that we looked into. We suggest removing the minimum size of 220 square feet for ADUs. The standard might constrain design. That's just something that we noticed. Most peer cities and other peer jurisdictions didn't include a minimum. We recommend to allow full basement conversions without limits to expand floor areas, keeping consistent with peer jurisdiction practices as well. Another recommendation we have is to reference the Gladstone Municipal Code section 17.10.50 for height and setbacks in the design section for ADUs, just to make it easier to reference when for people who are reviewing ADU standards. You already have it there, but you have to follow a link. So maybe just pulling it into that section could be helpful. We recommend to consider adopting a specific height limit for detached ADUs, maybe something between 22 to 25 feet, best aligning with peer cities and reducing uncertainty. We also suggest replacing the current design matching requirements with a flexible design menu. This would remove existing requirements for matching design in the primary dwelling unit and replacing these requirements with a menu-based design requirement similar to Milwaukee and Sandy. This type of compliance would require ADUs to incorporate 2 objective features into the design, and it would promote quality design while allowing flexibility and reducing construction costs and burden. We also recommend eliminating the prohibition on entrances facing the street. This rule is discouraged by DLCD and can also complicate site design ultimately. Lastly, we recommend retaining the current standard of 1 ADU per primary dwelling unit, although we do suggest eventually revisiting the model code framework and allowing for 2 ADUs per lot, maybe something like 1 attached and 1 detached, just in future updates as you guys progress. And thank you very much for the presentation. I'll now leave it over to you for any questions or comments. Thank you.
Commissioners? Questions?
I'm not familiar with the term design menu.
Thank you. I thought I was looking more on
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Do you have samples
Do you have
that
an
you showed
example?
them?
I believe in the packet we include a sample. It would be on page 5 of the menu. Under detached ADU.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay.
yeah, an architectural feature may be used to comply with more than one standard, but they must include at least 2 of the design details listed below. So that would be your menu.
Mhm.
So it'd be similar to what we have now,
Yeah.
which is the eaves, the siding, all the things, but you pick 2 and
Mhm.
out of the 5 instead of all 5.
So we're kind of we provide that.
We already have in our code that you have to do all of those.
Oh, all of
So
them.
what
Okay.
we're saying is,
Yeah, just
if we were to change it, we'd recommend changing it to you pick 2 that
Gotcha.
work best for your project.
Yeah.
A lot of cities don't have any
Mhm.
of these required. So they just regulate the setbacks, height, and size.
Size, yeah.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Let me go back to the first slide with the first set of recommendations. We can look at each set of recommendations.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Were of the cities that you surveyed, have any of them made recent changes, or have these kind of been the standards that have been set for quite a while?
Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know if you'll know that if they.
Could you repeat the question? Sorry.
Sure.
Thank you.
So for the cities that you looked into, were there any of them where you noticed that they recently made these changes?
I don't think I didn't see any recent changes or updated dates on.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know, Heather?
I don't know all of them. I know Milwaukee's are relatively new, as well as Happy Valley. They've done their ADU standards in the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
But given that all of them seem to be in compliance with the state regulation, the state model code for ADUs was developed in 2018. So I would assume most of these have been done in the last 5 years or so, because they all seem to be compliant with the model code and the model ordinance from the state. Yeah. The newest thing to come out of the state was in HB House Bill 2001 in 2019. That was the recommending 2 ADUs per lot. That's kind of the new version of ADUs. But, when I think about that, it's interesting because now with our middle housing, we can have up to 4 units on a lot. So in a way, someone wouldn't even have to declare 2 ADUs. They could have a triplex, right? So it's sort of moot a little bit to allow 2 ADUs at that point, especially with the most recent, there were some changes just recently, Senate Bill 974 that comes into effect in 2026 that doesn't require separate utility lines, even if you divide the lot for middle housing. So really the line between middle housing and ADU gets even more blurred at that point.
Because how could you, if you had an ADU and somebody was renting it, how would you be able to?
Yeah.
With the utilities.
So then the property owner would have the choice to do that, right? But there are fees with connecting new utilities, and there's system development charges with that and stuff. So it would be the owner's decision to make if it makes sense for them to do that, or if they have some other mechanism for covering utilities. But yeah, that's a great question. So I just asked Journey to go back to the first slide with recommendations. Maybe we can go through each of the recommendation slides and just get your take on that. So the first one is we currently have the 800 square foot maximum. So does it make sense to also add a 75 or 85% of primary dwelling, so that you could build the greater of the 2 sort of thing? So if you had a 3,000 square foot home, you could potentially, on a 20,000 square foot lot, you could potentially build a bigger ADU, or does 800 make sense as an ADU size max?
Do you want a consensus?
Sure. And if no consensus is available, that's fine too.
Commissioner Langston, what do you think about that?
I don't feel compelled to add the 75 to 85% primary dwelling square footage. I don't feel compelled to add it, but I don't mind it.
Commissioner Brennan?
Would each separate ADU potentially contribute to that total square footage?
It would depend on how you write it.
Okay.
So I think the way that it's done in other jurisdictions that use the 75 to 85%, that's per unit. So 85%. So maybe, if it's a larger primary home with a large lot, maybe they're doing 1,000 over here and then 1,200 over here or something.
Okay. I think I would support the square footage limit per unit then.
Okay.
By leaving it as is?
Yes.
Just the 800 max.
Roughly. I mean, maybe not 800, but is 800 current code?
800 is current code.
Yeah. Then yes, I would support that.
Commissioner Graw?
I guess I'm just not clear on why is it recommended that we add the 75 to 80%?
Good question.
I just don't understand why you would do. I don't think it needs to be done, but I maybe could be persuaded otherwise if there's a good reasoning for that.
Would that
be more applicable when you have a large plot of land that you could use? Is that why that was put there? I mean,
Yeah.
I could see where there could be exceptions.
Mhm.
You know, like
Yeah.
I've got 10 acres. I want to put, have my own little village there, kind of a thing. I mean,
But if it's 800 max anyway, I don't know why it would.
good point.
Well, I think the idea would be it's 800 or 75 or whatever number you choose percent of the
Yeah.
primary, whichever is greater, because 80% of 1,000 square foot home is your 800, right? So it's saying if your home is 1,500 square feet and you have a large lot, do you maybe want the ability to build a 1,200 square
Yeah.
foot 80?
Oh,
gonna come down to lot
so
size.
800, or you could go.
You could
Bigger.
go larger if your existing home is larger because you wouldn't be outsizing
Gotcha.
the existing structure.
Oh, then I would be okay with that. I think it would be up to the individual if they wanted a bigger.
But then why wouldn't you just build another home then at that point? My house is 1,000 square feet. So that's a 3-bedroom house.
Might be cost prohibitive to build a whole
Yeah.
entire house versus just calling it an ADU.
Yeah.
I mean, our SDC's lower for ADUs versus.
They're not right now, but that is something that we would have that conversation at the council level at some point with this legislation. Actually, that was what City Administrator Betts brought up was how do SDCs factor into this? And I said, we can bring that discussion to Planning Commission too. And she said, actually, Planning Commission should try to do this work without worrying about that, and council will take that on so that you guys can just make the best code fit, and then they'll have that financial discussion.
My vote would be to allow the 75 to 85% then, or the 800.
Okay.
Commissioner Carlson?
I guess I don't have any strong feeling either way. If we didn't do the 75 to 80%, then maybe do we consider increasing the max square foot a little bit more? But it's all lot size for me. That's roughly the size of the house.
That's where I land.
Yeah.
It's tough to.
And you have Commissioner
Right.
Reese.
Pardon?
Commissioner
Commissioner
Reese
Reese.
is also on. the-
Okay. Were you done?
Yep.
Commissioner Weiss?
I am in agreement of, I'm not sure that I'm compelled by the percentage, but the potential increase in the max 800 to something like 1,000, I'd be interested in discussing.
Kind of torn here. Having looked at prefab ADUs, consideration for myself, 800 square feet, that's like 2 bedrooms, a bath, utility room. I think I would probably stick with the 800 square feet max, just so that you can differentiate between a home and an ADU. There needs to be, I think, for some people, myself included, some clarity about that. Otherwise, you're just building another home. I mean, am I making any sense?
Yeah.
Or what's a better way to put
Yeah.
that?
I get it. Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're getting at.
Okay. So I would probably want to just stick with it as is. That's just me.
For the sake of is 800 the right fit? I heard lot size. So would it be something like 800 is the max, but if your lot size exceeded 7,000 square feet, then it's 1,000 or something like that? Is that?
I would
kind of
be
what you were
more
thinking?
inclined to, because, some people have an acre, and that would be more than justified. But I do think it's important when we go down this rabbit hole of ADUs that we have a way of differentiating an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, compared to the regular master house or whatever. Otherwise, because like I said, I have looked at prefab and they look more or less like a manufactured home type accessory dwelling unit, and unless they're custom made. So, and I know that when Mayor Milch was our chair, I know we were trying to be very careful to have very clear definitions so that we wouldn't end up with a lot of manufactured homes in backyards, which I totally understand because for a lot of reasons. So, right now it's just totally escaping me. I know in our codes, we have a definition of what an ADU is, correct?
Yes, I can pull that up.
If you could please, because I want to make sure that
I guess
it's defined.
you're trying to prevent going down this road where we're allowing people to build additional homes.
Exactly.
Like basically just adding a whole nother primary dwelling
Yes.
on their
That's
property.
Now, if they have an
exactly what
acre
I
lot,
wanted to
that's-
get to.
Yeah.
Is because that could potentially
Because
open the door for someone to
just
just
totally
yeah,
takes
build
away-
another large custom.
And I
home on
think
the
when
property.
you hear ADU, you're thinking of like, oh, like a place to work at or a mother-in-law suite, or you're not thinking like an actual primary home where someone
Right.
could technically, I don't know, just
Well, I can see where it would be a
So
sticky wicket there
yeah, yeah.
because it's like, okay, it's an ADU. Oh, no, it's a whole other
Mhm.
house, so
Yeah.
it's like, we have to have a clear
Mhm.
definition of that so that,
and
Yes, so our definition from our code is accessory dwelling unit means an additional smaller subordinate dwelling unit
mhm.
located on the same lot as a detached or attached single household dwelling or multi-household dwelling. An accessory dwelling may be created as a detached structure or within, as in addition to a detached single household dwelling or accessory structure.
Mhm.
So I think, I totally think what you guys are all saying makes is the right way to think about it. It is supposed to be a dwelling unit. So it is
Mhm.
something that could be rented
Mhm.
long term or lived in by someone that's not the person living in the home.
they'd have their own laundry facilities,
Yes.
whatever.
So,
yes.
the state is looking at it as a part of the housing solution.
Mhm.
It's a smaller, more less costly home unit is the idea. So it is meant to have full cooking and sanitation facilities if it's a dwelling unit.
Mhm.
So it would tie into the existing sewer line, the whole ball of wax.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless the property owner decides to put a secondary sewer line, which they can do, but it costs fees and system
yeah.
development charges.
Yeah. No, for me, it was causing not confusion, but I think you know what I'm trying to say, but you don't have the words.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. It's like, you buy, you're adding a home essentially on a parcel, and it's the question is what size of, what should we allow as an acceptable addition to someone's home
Can it,
versus putting a
Yeah.
whole nother housing unit on there.
could the wording possibly indicate 800 square foot or something that refers to depending on the lot size?
Definitely.
I would be more, because in where I live in old part of Gladstone, you're looking at 50 by 100 lots. For me to have, I'm just looking at my own house. It's a small lot. I had something in the backyard. It couldn't, 500 feet would take up all of my backyard. So I think we need to, and yet there's others that have, quite a bit larger. There's some areas that have a lot of land on their property where that could be, I would say 800 square feet, but then something with the verbiage depending on the size of the lot or setting up, because we have some people that have, 2 acres and a big old house sitting on it.
We could definitely do that. We just want to remain numerical. So what is the number of square feet that the lot would need to be?
With the logic of, so originally going into it, I would perceive an ADU as, just a function of adding some sort of comfort or need for someone's home, using the logic that you were kind of describing, that it is a mechanism to help with the housing, and people are probably going to be living in these. I could understand increasing our size if that is truly the intent of what the state wants from us. And 800 square feet would be tough for me to be in, but
You could do it with two people.
yeah.
Right. But if you had a
but
family, that's not going to work.
I guess, I mean, like, it's if you woke up and you looked in your backyard and you saw your neighbor had a whole nother house on their property, would that be something that would that be disturbing?
See, I wouldn't like it, but that's just me.
I'm coming from a houser standpoint.
Yeah.
So I don't think, I mean, there's cottage clusters now.
Mhm.
If we're allowing up to 4 units on a lot, I just don't really see the issue.
Sure.
My house is 950 square feet,
Yeah,
so I could 100% live in a 800 square
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that
Yeah.
would prefer a small house.
Yeah.
I
But
think-
if you had a 900 square foot home, if your neighbor had a 900 square foot home and you looked out there, and let's just say they added a 1,200 square foot home, would you think that was?
No, I definitely
peculiar?
think we should have a map.
Yeah.
See, I
yeah.
wouldn't
So,
know.
I mean, but maxing out at 75 to 80%. I mean, none of my neighbors' houses are probably more than 1,000 or 1,200 square feet. So, 800, it's probably going to cap out at 800 anyway.
Mhm.
I will say, I mean, a lot of people have RVs in their backyard, which is definitely not my.
Yeah,
I
you'd
would
prefer
rather
to
look
see.
out
You would
and
rather
see like a
see
cute
it
little ADU,
right? Yeah, absolutely.
than like a rundown RV. But so I don't think, like, what if somebody just wanted to demo their entire house and put up a 4-plex? They could use the entire lot minus the setback.
Yeah.
So, and cottage clusters are popping up and, they're cute. They're tiny,
Yeah.
but there's a market for it.
Sure.
Yeah, they're
Right
like
now?
350
Yeah.
square feet. They're
Yeah.
tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't really see a problem with it.
Yeah.
I think the problem would be like the height, because
Yes.
I know of like when you have a taller ADU all of a sudden built behind you and you have people looking down into your yard, that's where it becomes a concern.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's a really
That's a
good
great
point.
segue into our next slide where we do consider height. And I think it's part of the same discussion. So I really think you need to think about square footage with height,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we may as well just take them both at the same time. Right now, you could build your ADU 35 feet high. That's our code for the R7.2 and the R5. And that is what applies to an ADU. If you build a 1-story and up to like 450 square feet, you can reduce your setbacks in those zones, but we're probably talking about more than 450. So you're still meeting your 15-foot rear setback and your 5-foot side back, but 5 to the side could be pretty impactful at 35 feet right now. That's permitted right now. So if we're talking about...
That applies to ADUs?
Yep. That's our maximum height for the zone. And that applies to all structures. Yep.
See, and my thought ADUs should be smaller.
So that is the recommendation because most jurisdictions cap it at about 25 feet, 22 to 25 feet. So a story with the eaves and things, or a story and a half, even if you have a loft or something.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if somebody wants to do like a garage with a loft over it, I think we should be okay with that. But anything higher than that.
But wouldn't the
Nothing
loft
more like
be
75.
part of the square footage?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in the case, like Commissioner Grouse saying, if you have a 10-foot garage and then a 10-foot ADU on top with an eave, that's your 25.
Yeah.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, 35 feet is what is set for our buildings or any structures, correct?
Yes.
Why would it not be different for ADUs?
It's just not right now, but it can be.
I think we need to consider that.
Yeah, the recommendation is to do 25.
Because that can be very invasive to neighbors. And I just, being a Gladstonian for a long time, people in Gladstone voice their opinions and they don't like that when someone's looking down at their yard and stuff. And I get that because I don't think I'd like that either.
I think there was general consensus that like 25 makes sense for an
Yeah, it
ADU.
does.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, but not 35.
Okay, so knowing that it's not going to be any higher than 25
I don't mean to be
feet.
sitting here, I'm like,
Yeah.
no, not 30. That's like a 3-story building.
Let's go back that one.
I think I know where you're going with this. So knowing that it's not going to be more than 25 feet.
Yes.
And then the 75, 85%, like it might not matter as much because you don't have a giant building.
That was
Mhm.
what I was just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. The other thing is it could be the lesser of. So if you wanted to make it like 1,000 square feet, but make sure that the smaller homes aren't getting up to so if you have an 800 square foot home on a lot and you don't want to see 1,000 foot ADU, you could say 1,000 feet or up to 80%, whichever is greater.
That's
That's
what I
another way to
thought we were
That's-
doing in the
That's kind of
beginning.
where I thought we were going to go
That's
down
a
to.
yeah.
do it. I think that would settle a lot of the concerns.
Yep.
of
Not
what I'm
only
hearing.
not only that, and we talked to Public Works about I don't have an aversion to a larger type ADU, which is basically another house, but you will probably, based upon the square footage, would need to have separate water and sewer lines. I don't see how they can be shared.
It's gonna come down to the usage rate.
Like a
And they
bigger
have
sewage
charged,
pipe.
well, just they have calculations that would
Mhm.
tell you like when water would be running and toilets are flushing and
Yeah.
that's how they size all the pipes. I'm sure, I mean, typically with building practices, belt and suspenders, so they'd go a little bit bigger even than what the home's demand would be. So it probably would be okay, but I do understand your
Yeah, I
concern.
think that's something
Yeah.
that should be.
The other thing that they do often is they would upsize the meter to the property.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the
So-
electrical meter, yeah.
Or the water meter.
water
But then we
meter,
also
yeah.
need to make
Mhm.
sure
So
that
more water.
You can have more water
Yeah.
serving the site, but
Yeah.
it'd still be all one line
Mhm.
serving the property.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Which works.
important that Public Works and the fire department figure out if they can get access to
Mhm.
that, accessory dwelling unit. Because with buildings and houses, based on the roads or wherever they're built, if a fire truck can't get to it, that's a problem.
Is there any?
Yeah. So the building, the Public Works and Fire would review every single building permit.
Yeah.
Good.
And they have their standards. So for the fire department, I think it's like the truck has to get within 500 feet and the hose has to be able to access all points of the building,
Mhm.
or you can sprinkler. Sometimes if you're in an
Yeah.
inaccessible space, that's very expensive and not something residential
expensive,
home
yeah.
builders are usually
I
doing.
learned the city of Washougal requires all construction to be
Wow.
sprinkled.
So,
Yeah.
I
Now,
mean,
there's a lot of new building that
Yeah.
is being specified.
that would
Yeah.
certainly
Then
cut down on
residential?
your responses that
I
you
have dear
need.
friends of mine out in
Yeah.
Sandy that all the homes built in the development where they were sprinkled, had to have sprinklers and it saved their home because a fire started.
Oh, I
and
see.
put it
I
out.
definitely see the
Yeah.
reason
Yeah.
for it. It just
Mhm.
is.
Yeah, and that was totally residential. All of the homes in there were. Okay.
I just want to make a clarification. I have 2 high school daughters, so the thought of when I said I couldn't live in 800,
Yeah.
it was just I couldn't. I wouldn't want to be that close quarters with them. So I don't want to offend anyone.
You need your
Well, that's-
yeah, exactly.
No, I get it.
Commissioner
Yeah.
Langston, I have a
So do
freshman
they.
in college and I feel like having the space over the garage is a better space
Yeah,
for
yeah,
them
exactly.
than
Yeah,
for,
definitely. Yeah, I wasn't saying
No, no,
that.
no,
I
no.
might want
ADU in
to
your
sprinkle it in
backyard.
that case.
Yeah.
500 square feet would be fine for me and my cat,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
wouldn't want to go any smaller
No,
than that.
yeah.
'Cause then I would feel not claustrophobic, but I need.
Yeah.
I only have 1,066 square feet in the
Mhm.
house,
Yeah.
but I think the lowest I could go would be 700 or 600 or something.
Mhm.
Well, the other thing to keep in mind is we have 800 right now. That is sort of an industry standard. We
Mhm.
could just leave it at 800 right now and make these other changes and then come back in the future if we want to do a percentage or we're seeing that becoming an issue. Like I said, the politics or the the landscape is different now that
Yeah.
you can do middle housing too.
Yeah.
So maybe if you decide what I really want is 1,200 square foot units, then maybe you are a triplex or a duplex with a ADU if that works on that lot.
Okay. Yeah. I kind of like that idea. We can just leave it as is and then revisit it. What do you guys think?
I think I agree with that. Like, if you want more, then I think you should go down, determine your path in the beginning. If you want more, I feel like ADUs.
Yeah,
in
there's
my
not
mind,
a no available to that amount of housing
Yeah, I don't
unless
wanna-
the utilities can't.
I don't want to see any restrictions, but those exceptions can always come before the planning commission for
for
exceptions.
variances. Yeah.
That's true. You could get a variance.
Yes.
I
I don't want to prohibit or make it difficult for those to be built. But I think we need, to figure, come to a consensus, whatever the square footage is going to be, or the percentage of the primary dwelling or whatever. But there's always the opportunity to come before the planning commission and ask for a variance. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. So 800 square feet, not to exceed 75% of the primary dwelling.
or just leave it at 800
Make it
because
800.
you're you'd have to have a smaller than 1,000 square foot home for that to come into play. So it's a very limited situation that would happen. I think.
Commissioner Gra, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think I would be fine with leaving it at 800. I mean, and I will say too that there's a lot of people out there that are renting that really want to buy houses that can't afford to. I mean, a lot. And so if somebody wants a little yard or they want to, rent something that is closer to a house, 800 square feet is a decent size for somebody to be able to do that and rent it from a homeowner and just feel like, they're able to live in a small house. So I really don't want to be prohibitive here, but I think 800 is more than enough space to be able to allow that.
Commissioner Carlson?
Yep, I agree.
Commissioner Weiss, your input, please.
Yeah. One thing that is kind of slipping in, I don't know if we have the data for it, but I'm just curious if the size of the square footage of the, rental area has an impact on the makeup of the families and or professionals and or whoever that you're potentially bringing into the community. Like if 1,000 meant that we were more likely to bring a family into the community than a single professional living in that, like how does that impact our overall citywide goals? So that's the one thing that's kind of ringing in the back of my head is there an implication to keeping it small that makes it, maybe only suitable for a single professional or a two-person household versus, bringing some kids into the community?
I hear what you're saying about that. This is tough because Oregon wants more housing for people, but it's so cost prohibitive. And, small accessory dwelling units isn't going to be very comfortable for a family of 4 or 5. Again, I go back to 800 square feet. And if there's something more that's needed, they could come before us for a variance. What you're saying is valid, Commissioner Weiss. I wish getting into a home was much easier than having to start out at $538,000 for a home. I really feel that if the state of Oregon really wants this to be their mission, they need to look at some programs for people that have good credit that can get into something without the exorbitant costs that currently are the norm for buying a home, because it keeps people out of buying a house. I think the state of Oregon needs to come up with some programs, because they say affordable housing, but does anybody know an affordable house for somebody that makes less than $50,000 a year?
Cottage clusters.
Okay, there you go. But again, there are only 400, 500 some square feet.
Just depends on how much land you have.
Yeah. And see, if you're going to say affordable housing, then come up with some plans to make that happen. Because as it currently stands, I don't see how that's attainable.
You have to build housing. You have to build all kinds of housing.
Yeah.
And our housing production is low. And so the more housing you build, the cheaper the housing will be. And we're seeing that in apartments right now where vacancy is really high. And
Yep.
so affordable rents versus market rents they're too close. So it's just supply and demand. You have to build. So the more ADUs people build, it's just going to open things up.
And going along with that, if you have ADUs and people love them and they want to buy them, how does that work out?
Split the lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
But zoning for splitting lots in certain areas is a very difficult thing to do.
Well, and I would look to Commissioner Grau too. Is there a condo plat option ever on that type of thing? I don't know much about that. Condo plats are done at the state level, so we local planners don't ever involve ourselves in that, but it's potential that you could sell the space within an ADU.
Okay.
It can be complicated, but it can be done.
Okay.
But yes, you can also divide the lots. Middle housing lot land divisions would allow that as well.
Okay. Because in the past, dividing a lot it had to be a certain
The
size.
rules have changed. Yeah, the state has changed those rules significantly.
Okay.
I know there's not quite consensus on that, but I'm curious. I think there probably is on removing the 220 square foot minimum. Everybody feels like that's pretty small, even for one person.
Too small.
Too small. Okay. And then the full basement conversion, currently our code says that you can't expand. The way it's worded, just as a reminder, is that the floor area of an accessory dwelling unit, conversion of an existing basement to an ADU shall be exempt from the maximum size limit, provided that no new floor area will be added with the conversion. So this would preclude you have a halfway dug out basement and you're like, well, let's dig out the rest of it and finish this out. Is there any thought about that? It seems like that wouldn't be a big deal if people wanted to finish out their space.
They should be able to do that. It would be expensive to do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I might build something in the backyard rather than doing that.
Yeah,
If they wanna
exactly.
do it.
But if someone wants to do it, let's
Yeah.
let them go.
More
Go
power
ahead.
to them.
And see, there are a lot of larger 2-story ranch homes where they have a full completed basement that could easily be turned into an apartment. They usually have their own bathroom already. So it's just a matter of getting a kitchen into it that's what we're talking about, the basement conversions, right? And on the basement conversions, they need to have a separate entrance as well. Is that correct?
That is not not a requirement.
Not a requirement.
They
Okay.
could enter through the primary entrance.
Okay.
Could that be a requirement though?
It could.
I kind of think it should be, but
Although to the point of, I guess, I'll let you all
that could be
discuss that.
I think,
Very
Prohibitive.
expensive. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you get into accessibility and lighting and all that stuff. It'd be, I mean, it would be on the onus of the homeowner, but
it would be easy if it's a daylight basement.
yeah, well, I mean,
We're
unless,
trying to make it so it's not prohibitive though.
yeah.
Like,
Cause if they have to walk around the side of the building, now you gotta have a path for them.
Okay.
You gotta have so much, lighting, it can only have a certain grade for,
Grade.
accessibility.
Okay.
Like it could be tough to achieve those standards and it could prevent someone from even doing it.
Okay.
The other thing that popped into my mind is we currently prohibit 2 entrances on the front of a property, which is a recommendation to remove that. The state doesn't recommend that. However, if you are requiring a second entrance and that's like kind of the only place you can do it because of grade or something else like that, you're almost like forcing that to happen if you require a second entrance, whereas you could have it enter and then have the ability to split. Yeah.
Yeah, because you could just go in and like have main level and then downstairs like those kind of split level ones. So
I think we're good with this slide. Maybe we'll go to the next slide.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Just before we move on from this, because I heard that 220 square feet is too small to build to be feasible. Are we then saying we don't need it in the code to have a minimum size because by practicality it will help itself, or do we need to move that minimum size up? I realize that we're not here to add more, but it feels odd if we're saying, hey, it's not practical, so we're going to remove the minimum size and let it police itself.
Yeah, that's exactly the recommendation based on most cities don't have a minimum. Gladstone's code is a bit unusual, having a minimum size for an ADU.
And that could be somebody's office out in the backyard.
Yeah, I mean,
a she shed.
Yeah, I think the idea is that no one's going to build something that small, and if you did need, you'd buy a shed.
right.
And, yeah.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner Weiss, or do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not familiar with she shed sizes, so I don't know if this allows for more she sheds, or if, and does that then stop us from getting actual housing where the she sheds are? I guess that's all I'm working through. I'm not opposed to removing it.
I can say, in the time I've been reviewing ADUs in Gladstone, there's probably been a dozen or more in the 2 years I've been doing. There's never been anything near 220 square feet.
It's always more. Yeah.
They're all, over 600, probably closer to the 800 most point. Yeah. 750. We've had a couple in that range, but yeah. So I don't think you're precluding anything by taking out a minimum or force it. And I don't think you'll see a lot of 100 square foot ADUs. Again, it's just expensive. And why wouldn't you just get a shed at that point?
Yeah.
Well, in our code, when it doesn't require getting approved or anything for outside sheds, those are usually what? They're not 10 by 10, are they?
That is a size of a shed. Yes, some sheds are. That would not require a building permit.
Right.
So someone could put that in their yard, but ideally they would still meet the minimum setbacks, which would be the reduced ones. So in the R5 zone, you can actually reduce to 0 square feet for a small shed like that. In the R7.2, you can reduce to 3 feet on the side rather than 5. But if you're building something that is over 200 square feet, you do need a building permit to do that. So then we see all of those and get to check the setbacks and the height and all of that kind of stuff.
If you build a shed or you have a tough shed come in and you want to put a little bathroom in it, does it require a building permit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And that would go to Public Works.
Look like and be very livable.
Yeah. Because we'd want to make sure that the utility can be supported by the line.
Okay, yeah.
So Public Works would weigh in.
I figured, but
I mean, I'm not saying that always happens, but it is required, right? Sometimes people do.
You could put a composting toilet in it. A composting toilet.
Oh yeah, good point. Or they have those cute little tiny sinks over the toilet, so it just doesn't take up much room. Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Weiss, or should we talk more?
Yeah, I'm with the group on this one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next slide. The first one is just to it's a recommendation to bring those dimensional standards into the ADU section so it's easier to find. And I love that because I get asked all the time what our ADU standards are. And if I could copy and paste just this section and have those dimensional standards in there, that would be nice. So I love that recommendation, Journey. And then we talked about the height and we decided 25 feet seemed reasonable. The design matching menu-based options. So currently we require roof pitch, windows, and eaves to be similar to the existing structure. And then we say the one entrance on the street facing facade other than a vehicle garage. So those are kind of our design standards that we currently have in place. There's 4 of them. Do we want to have a menu where you pick 2 of the 4? Do we want to not have any of those at all? Do we want to add some? I'll let the group discuss that.
Like the menu.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the menu is best.
I will say there was not too long ago, maybe last year, there was an ADU and it was more mid-century. And they actually fixed the house to match the ADU and it looked gorgeous.
Here in Gladstone.
Yes.
Yes. And I think
You know which one I'm talking about?
yes, because I had a lot of conversations with that property owner. 'Cause
I
they
would drive
said-
past and go, oh my God.
Would they?
They said we want to make the ADU nice because that's what we can finance right now, and then we're gonna save money and come back and do the sidings. I can't remember how we decided to do that, but we worked through it and found a way to make
Turned
that work.
out
Yeah.
beautifully. They matched.
It seemed really reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, I thought to myself, wow, that's awesome. That's great. I'm not saying I like the matchy, but that was a situation where I think it turned out phenomenal.
So it didn't match any of the original house.
Right, because the
In the
original
beginning.
house had like a kind of a vertical, I don't think it was T111, but it was a pretty basic siding, and they wanted to do a really nice like hardy plank lap siding on the accessory dwelling
Yeah,
unit.
that ADU turned out awesome. But then they fixed the house to match.
And I think what we said was we had them do like an agreement that they would fix the house within 2 years or something like that, and so that we could say it does comply.
I'm trying to remember which street is on. Is it on Clarendon or I can't remember?
Sounds right. Yeah.
Or is it Exeter? I can't remember, but it turned out
Yeah. I do remember having many conversations with that homeowner because it was like, that seems like a great idea, but the code is sort of limiting. How can we do this? So,
it did turn out almost perfect in my opinion.
Yeah,
It was
I agree.
very well done.
So our current code has standards that say match the primary dwelling, but if I can point to pages 5 and 6, 5 and 6 in the packet, Milwaukee lists for detached ADU. Their menu, where you have to pick 2, is a little more numeric. It's clear and objective. So they're saying like one thing is you could have a covered porch. One is that you could have recessed entry area at least 2 feet deep. Roof eaves with a minimum projection of 12 inches from the intersection of the roof and the exterior walls. And then horizontal lap siding between 3 to 7 inches wide. Or window trim around all windows at least 3 5/8 inches deep. So I wonder if those that's just page 5. Page 6 talks about how you can get a variance to those. So would something like that be palatable for our menu so that it can be numeric? I think our current requirements are not meeting the clear and objective requirements.
Commissioner Weiss.
How did they come up with 3 5/8? Like, why?
I bet that's a standard depth of
Is it?
a window trim, maybe.
3 and 5.
I don't know. Or maybe 3
It's just
and-
so funny because I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
We could definitely say 3 inches.
I mean, they
make
don't have to
it-
pick that one, but
Yeah.
still just.
Now, when you say numeric, you're talking about where it consensually goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever.
No, more that the standard is numeric, 5 feet deep, 3 5/8 inches
Okay.
recessed,
Gotcha.
3 to 7 inches wide. Because right now we say that it is the roof pitch of an accessory dwelling unit shall be the same as the predominant roof pitch of the primary dwelling unit. Well, now I have to use some discretion to figure out which is the predominant roof pitch and is it the same?
You want it clearly,
but yeah.
clearly
So
stated. I
I'd
agree with
rather
that.
have a numeric standard that can just be like, yep,
Plain and simple.
that's
clear cut.
4 inches of siding width. Let's do that.
Okay.
So yes, I would like to see how you feel about changing to more numeric standards, but having the option of a covered porch, a recessed entry area, roof eaves projecting, horizontal lap siding, and window trim. Those are all things that can make the structure look really nice. And are there other things that you would want to add to the menu?
I don't know about adding to the menu, but I do like how they have a clear language around if you need to request a variance, this can be done.
Okay.
I agree. I like the numbers. And just making it clear. And these are like the little things that can make it look really nice, you know.
And be somewhat consistent when we see ADUs in our community.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm for that. What about you, Commissioner Weiss?
Yeah. I want to hear what he says.
Yeah, I do like the menu option. I'm trying to picture neighborhoods in Portland that I've seen, ADUs that are matching some of these where you can see that they've, kind of picked the same covered porch, and it does add some charm, I think, to the neighborhoods where I've seen this.
Curb appeal.
I'm curious on the variance. Is that something that we would say is a staff level decision? And then are we falling into like percentages of how deep, how the 5 foot deep porch staff can approve? Or is that something that would come before the planning commission?
That is a great question. And I would have said, let's take a poll on that before Senate Bill 974 was adopted and comes into effect July 1, 2026, that says any variance to a residential standard is now a staff level decision.
Okay.
So it'll be a staff level decision to do a variance.
Okay. And then we would need some sort of variance criteria for
Yes.
the staff to comfortably make that
Which
decision.
we do have variance criteria in the code, but if we wanted specific criteria to a variance from this, I'm not overly concerned if we have 5 options and you're picking 2. I think most, even like a product being built to economically to be rented or used in a lower cost way could still meet 2 of these. So I don't think a variance is going to come up very often on this.
Okay.
But we do have
Okay,
variance
that's fair.
criteria in our code that could be applied if we needed to.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
What about you? Did you?
I agree with the group.
Yeah. I like the numeric idea. Clean cut. Equity.
Okay.
I think it's nice too, because it maintains a little bit of form too.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of ADUs have, 4 of these. A lot of them are using a lot of those design standards.
Well, I think when you have those standards, you can tell them they have to pick at least 2, but they may end up picking 4 or all 5.
Right.
Yeah. So
I would like to see when we come back with, because right now you're presenting the findings and we're giving some direction on what we'd like to see. So I think we'll see this again, right? I'd like to see some options on what the menu could look like, if there are other options that some jurisdictions that you surveyed are using that others aren't. So we have some flexibility when we come back to make some decisions on this.
Yeah. So if that works for the planning commission, we could bring, even some draft language to a work session in January and have the menu built in with the recommendations. And, Journey can help me since she knows the other jurisdictions better. If anything stuck out to her as far as like, it's not listed in Milwaukee, but gosh, Happy Valley has a great option we should be including. And we can include all of those and you can have that discussion.
in fact, perhaps it would be really good to have a work session with city council.
Yeah, I can talk to the city administrator about that. I don't have any power to make that up.
No. I think that would be worthwhile to have a work session with them so that when that actually comes before them to vote on it, they're well informed and educated. I think we should probably sit down together and go through some stuff and why we thought this would be the way to go.
Okay, so we can request a joint work session.
Yes.
With council. Okay,
Yes.
we'll do that.
How does everybody else feel about that?
Sure.
Sure.
I know you're not going to be here.
Oh yeah, but I think for our 3 commissioners who didn't go through the whole Gladstone Town Center project, we did meet in a joint work session format several times through that project.
Yeah.
So it's something we've done recently.
And I do believe that, with Mayor Milt sharing some of what he had to say this evening, that all the city councilors would like to be better informed as to what we're looking at. So,
Okay.
and why we're recommending what, and they may have some input and insight that we don't have.
Okay.
So, okay.
Should we look at the last slide? Is it the last one? The next? Oh, is it? It might have paused. Oh, there you wait. Is it not?
She's had pretty good luck using
She
that.
has had good luck. She's way better than me.
Way to go,
It's
Journey.
been working well. Thank you. Oh,
Oh, there it goes. Okay. So this is just the catch-all. Yeah, so we are recommending just staying with our 1 ADU per lot, and I think there's general consensus for that.
Yeah.
We could always take that up in the
They
future.
they have other avenues like
They do have other avenues. Yeah,
so
middle
that's-
housing,
I would
cottage clusters.
I
Yeah.
feel like ADU should just be an ADU as opposed to
Okay.
ADUs.
Accessory dwelling unit. That's
Yeah.
one unit.
Yeah.
Is that our last slide with recommendations?
yes.
Okay.
That is it.
Great. I think we got all the feedback we need to start drafting some language and putting together another work session, and we will request that joint work session with council. So we can do that.
Commissioner Weiss, did you have any other further questions?
The only
Comments?
thing I'll add is if we have any interested if we have any developers that you've spoken to in the last 6 months or anyone that's looking to develop, I would love to invite them to share their thoughts on the proposed language. I don't know that that's feasible, so if we don't have the option, that's fine. But if we do, I guess if we meet for a work session in January, we won't have public comment for that. But I guess if we could just get the word out,
Yeah.
I would love to hear from actual developers.
Interestingly, Commissioner Weiss, I did have an email exchange just today with someone interested in developing an ADU, and I do believe they're online. If we could ask, is Casey Phillips online and interested in joining the conversation?
Casey Phillips.
I don't want to put him on the spot, but
would he be available to join us on our work session with City Council as well?
We can ask. I think Casey's interested in doing a single ADU if they're interested.
Has he?
I hate to put them on the spot, but I don't.
Casey, if you're interested, can you raise your hand to join in the discussion?
Or they might have.
No way.
And
That's
not interested in joining the
actually
discussion.
a really good
Well,
idea is to have someone who's maybe built one or two of them
Sure.
give their input and cautionary tales.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'll be sure to invite Casey as well as some other contractors that have built ADUs in the.
Yeah,
city.
that was going to be Commissioner Weiss clarification. Are you looking for like people who build them, like a contractor, or when I hear you say developer, I'm assuming someone who assumes a property and wants to develop that piece of property into whatever they view. And again, if that was the case, I would hope that we would recommend them to look at the other avenues of like, but if we want to bring in contractors and they've worked across the state, maybe multiple states, and they've seen other things, that I would definitely recommend doing that.
Yeah, or homeowners. Developers would want to get clarification on that too, because it's not necessarily like a homeowner's having a developer come in.
Yeah.
Like I'm a developer, I
Yeah,
can build
exactly.
an ADU. I can give some advice, but I've never built an ADU before. And they're not typically doing that. So if homeowners that have done it or they have contractors that they liked using.
Like the family that did the one that I liked so much.
Yeah, I can go back and because I have plenty of email communication with them. I can invite them.
You must have liked it too, the way it
I thought it was a great idea. I didn't want to and it made total sense to me as a homeowner that we have enough money to do the ADU right now. And then the next chance we're going to do the siding on the house. It's like, I woke up to water leaking in my house this morning and was like, okay, priorities just switched.
Yeah.
Roofing
Yeah.
comes first, but you have to like plan these things out, right?
Yeah.
You can't just be like, yep, let's just do it all at once. Or
Yeah,
that would
work
be
in
amazing.
progress
Yeah.
well over a year, I think, before they finally got it finished.
Yeah. So we worked on the timing with them to make sure we could meet our code, but still end up with the better product that they wanted and that the city would appreciate. So yeah.
It was so cool. I'm like, I want to live in that house.
Well, now I really want to see the
I know.
We'll
I
find the
can't remember
address.
the address, but if you can find
Yeah,
it,
we'll find it.
I highly recommend. I mean, it was a ADU project on steroids that turned out
Go
perfect.
back through the meeting minutes.
It really, I mean, it was just like, wow. I mean, it was done with such taste. It turned out beautifully. Yeah.
So I don't think we heard from Commissioner Weiss for Commissioner Langston's question about who he's envisioning inviting, just to make sure we cover it.
Yeah, I think my user developer was someone who is potentially considering or has gone through the process of building an ADU in Gladstone. So I think you all got what I meant.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think
Can
we have
we-
what we need to move.
Sorry, just one more question. Can we eventually talk about addressing?
We certainly, your city recorder is your addresser for your
Okay.
city, so she would be the one to.
Yeah. How does that work? You're talking about if it's 213 and then 213B
Yeah,
or
I
what?
mean, B, or is it gonna have a completely separate
longer-
address?
It used to be A and B, but we are no longer using that.
Okay,
So is that your
yeah,
question?
I would 100% support that,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the
Yeah,
ADU
no,
would have
that
the
was
same-
through our fire department. That was way before all of our times when that started, and our fire department had asked that we no longer do that. So we do not do A and B anymore.
It's the same address for both.
No, it would be two separate addresses.
Okay.
So if there's a duplex, it won't be 650 A and B, it would be 650 and 652, something to that effect. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Do mailboxes need to be addressed in the updated ADU language?
No, we don't currently have anything about mailboxes in the development code. And because mailboxes can be in the public right of way or on the private property, I think we should probably leave it out of development code.
Mhm.
Okay, fair.
And from my understanding, the US Postal Service has a lot of say on where the mailbox is to
They
be.
have all the say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna
They
say,
have
I
all
don't,
the
I
say?
don't
They have all
any
the say.
about
Okay.
that.
You've experienced that, have you?
You buy the mailboxes and they do the rest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, thank you very much for this lovely work session.
Andrea, can you get somebody else from LMC to take your place?
I don't think anybody lives over here.
See,
Actually,
none of us
I,
want you to go.
I do, we have a project
I know
engineer.
his knowledge is
We do
like,
have a project engineer that lives over here somewhere, actually.
well, from what I understand, former planning commission member Patrick Smith knows the new individual because Jennifer's serving another term again. She got,
Perfect.
Correct. She was
Reappointed.
reelected, yes.
but
Or
Mr.
reappointed.
Busick, am I saying that correct?
Yes.
Well, here, what, is it appropriate that I read a text message?
Hmm.
I don't know what it's regarding. or-
Oh, it's regarding a recommendation from Patrick
Oh.
Smith about, I believe his name is Tom.
Tom
Tom
Busick
Busick.
is the new commissioner.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize we had somebody on board.
Yeah, they were just appointed the last,
Just appointed last week.
Oh,
They will be
here we go.
starting in January.
are they in construction?
Well, this is what Pat Smith said. Just found out this morning that you have a new planning commissioner, Tom Busick, a great guy. He will be an excellent addition. Good luck, Pat. So he knows him. Says he'll be an excellent addition, so that's great. So are we ready to do business from the planning commission?
You can go right ahead if that's.
Commissioner Reese, do you have any business to share?
Hey, sorry I couldn't be there with y'all tonight. Thank you for putting up with my muting and unmuting, and happy holidays to y'all. And
Mhm.
Andrea, thank you. I've learned so much from you being on the planning commission together, and I've appreciated your perspective over the years.
All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Brennan?
No business, but also I guess I just want to thank everybody for the conversation and, in being engaging and helping me learn what I've learned through this process. I appreciate it. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you.
Commissioner Graw.
I don't think I have anything
Okay.
tonight, but yeah, I would echo your sentiments. I think it was a nice, lively conversation. It was fun to learn more about ADUs.
We do collaboration well in this group.
Hmm.
Yeah, we really do. Anything further? No? Commissioner Carlson.
Only business I have is I've checked out the new path in the Gladstone Nature Park, and it's
Yeah.
really great. So check it out. It's
Yeah.
really
Okay.
it's a cool addition to the park. And that's all I have. And happy holidays.
Langston.
All right. Yeah. Prepare a speech. No, I just want to say congratulations. Work anniversary. I saw that in email. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
And really
How many
appreciate.
years has it been?
Just a couple.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, that's really awesome, and it's cool, like the dedication
you.
to our community, and yeah, I really admire you, and that's really awesome.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. And yeah, I just taking a break. I'm not saying I'm done with planning commission. I'm just stepping aside for a minute to catch my breath. That's all. So I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, and keep my eyes and ears open for opportunities. And you have my number. So
Yeah,
just
I
make
may
sure-
ask
yeah.
you to come join us for some work sessions.
Yeah.
Consulting.
So yeah, no, definitely. I just trying to catch my breath a little bit here. I got a lot on the plate. So,
You're going to be sorely
Yeah,
missed.
yeah.
So,
but it was a pleasure. Yeah, so.
Just to reference our upcoming meeting, January the 20th. I do believe that's when we're going to swear in our two new.
Yes.
And I think our community with our code enforcement is doing a great job. Every time I turn around, I see major improvements where there was, a dump yard somewhere. She really does an outstanding job. I love everything she's doing, everything. I love the fact that everybody is really open to good collaborative conversations and looking at all options, so that we can make Gladstone and keep Gladstone the best place that anybody would want to live. Now to you. I want to tell you how deeply I've appreciated all your input, your knowledge, your wisdom, your awesome attitude to look at all options. And you're going to be deeply missed, and especially by me. We've served together for, I think, 3 terms. You've been the vice chair. It's been an honor to serve with you. I'm going to miss you a lot. So thank you for everything, Andrew.
No,
Thank you. I would welcome or entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, and the motion was made by Commissioner Brennan and seconded by Commissioner Carlson. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Brennan,
Yes.
Commissioner Graw,
Yes.
Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Weiss,
Yes.
Commissioner Langston,
Yes.
Chair Smith.
Yes, meeting is adjourned at 7:54.